As we might guess from Nietzsche's interest in the way that human beings, through the bad conscience, impose forms of self-torture on themselves, he's very interested in asceticism as a religious phenomenon. But in the context of the third essay of the genealogy, he's particularly interested in what he calls the ascetic ideal. That is, he's interested in the connection between ascetic self-denial and the problem of meaning and nihilism. Now, as I said regarding the second essay, on the one hand, the bad conscience drives human beings to self-torture and self-denial. But on the other hand, it does it in such a way, through the idea of God and God's salvation, that it also prevents people from doing themselves. This is the basic point Nietzsche makes about the ascetic ideal. In the situation in which people experience themselves as sinners, as worthless in the eyes of God, as obligated to deny themselves, the ascetic ideal tells them that if they do this, they will be saved. Thus, self-denial becomes the meaning of life. It is the route to salvation. Yes, says the priest, your life is worthless and corrupt unless you deny yourself for the sake of God. Or, as Nietzsche puts it, the priest juxtaposes our life with a quite different mode of existence, which it opposes and excludes, unless it, life, turn against itself, deny itself. In that case, the case of the ascetic life, life counts as a bridge to that other mode of existence. The ascetic treats life as a wrong road on which one must finally walk back to the point where...
Welcome to Sheni B'Chamishi. Geez, I need to lift that up a second, if you don't mind. Okay. Yeah, I just, Leonard Cohen had a birthday. Leonard Cohen is the singer, and someone mentioned to me, a lawyer in Miami named Yudi Brooks, said he wrote a book, and he had it called Beautiful Losers. I just got it in the mail, just in time, because he took an interest in Yeshiva Bochurim, and I have the luck to have a Yeshiva Bochur fresh out of the mikveh. He just toiveled today about like 50 times in the pool, and it's kind of it's hot. So you can get these books for very cheap, like $4 or $5, and you could this thing called thrift books, but you could always find the used ones, so you don't have to buy a new one. And 1 book, 2 books is enough to keep in your bag, and it can open your mind and change your life and give you an opinion. Now, I haven't read this book. Usually I like to give a review of the book at the end, especially to pick out the stuff that's interest to you. Especially this book is about monks and priests, and then has he took some writing interest on Yeshiva Bochurim. I'm interested, of course, first in the Yeshiva boys. I want the stuff that's more closer to my heart, and then, of course, to read about the interesting stuff about the priests and stuff like that is also interesting and useful, and it can help me form an opinion. So you have an opinion. Speaking about opinions, so there's a book, The Joys of Yiddish, written by Leo Rostin. Leo Rostin explains what a yeshiva bacher is. So he says it's a boy. He wears a long black coat. You'll see him. Never gazes at a woman. His eyes will never fall and gaze on a woman, and he is always thinking a piece of Talmud in his head as he walks in the street. And then he says an expression used about a yeshiva bacher is, don't ask his opinion, he's a yeshiva bacher. So reading this, I felt, and I was a regular Lubavitcher boy in the system, not perfect, but definitely religious and a believer, and and honest to what I was indoctrinated in. And I looked at it and I thought, okay, the long black coat we don't do today, but should that be aspirational? Because the Rebbe never instituted the long black coats, right? But the real way in Lubavitch was to have not a 3/4, but a long coat in the real Lubavitch. But the Rebbe himself was modern and wore modern clothing, so I guess it was hard for him to pull that off. But then there's the fact that he's always thinking about a piece of Gemara. I thought, is that aspirational? Should I at least aspire? And then I thought, well, maybe I want to think Hasidus. Maybe that's the hot thing. So he didn't get that from him. And then he says he would never catch him gazing on a woman. And I thought, that's aspirational. I like that. And then, of course, when he says, he shows how people use an expression, don't ask his opinion. He's a yeshiva bacher. I got offended. Offended so deeply that I said, I want to prove this guy wrong. Now, it can be one thing like that, but you don't know where to go. Where will you start researching? Where will you start learning what education is about? You're surrounded by books in yeshiva, so it's very tricky. But those books are not the proper way to study. If you look at how the Rambam studied, he took many fields of knowledge, everything that was available to him 1,000 years ago, approximately 1,000 years ago, 900, old science, old philosophy, and he used it to the best. And in yeshiva, you're not always getting that. Especially many Bochurim don't even open the Moreh Nevuchim of the Rambam. You should, comb through all the philosophies that are considered non-secular or Jewish, if so, right? And you should comb through all of it, because that's at least to start. And then you'll have an opinion. So I really got offended, but I really wanted to not be bitter, but be better and prove him wrong. Many Jews have also felt that way. They couldn't make it, and they wanted to prove wrong, and they did a great job by this will to win. My friend, his mother was from Morocco. She came to Israel. She saw how the Moroccans were treated in Israel, and she said, she swore that she's going to get to the top. She's going to be in the Knesset, in the Israeli parliament. Well, she transferred over her dreams to being a Lubavitcher Meshechist, and the rest I could say is history, but she did become a dentist. So that's a wonderful, useful way and fulfilling way to live life. And she could also merge the dentistry with her practice of Yechi and belief in Mashiach. Yechi before the injections, and even some elite, yeshiva bachurim, including my brother, felt like, I don't need Yechi before the injection. Fuck you! She uses this way to, you don't like it? Every doctor has their soul in their job. You should respect it. If she says Yechi, you should respect it, man. This is her soul. This is her psyche. This is how she thinks and lives. This is what she believes in. If you have a doctor with a big fat Salem hanging down in your face, lick it. So, yeah, yeshiva bacher, opinion. So after he took an interest, and then I took an interest in his interest. Leonard Cohen interested in frum boys, and he writes a book, Beautiful Losers. What does he mean by a loser? Does it mean that in the yeshiva you're a loser, or that you're having a great life in the yeshiva, and after you leave the yeshiva you'll be a loser because you won't have the tools to make anything out of what you learned? And the Gemara Brachis. What are you going to take from it? It's very interesting, but this is not the stuff that's going to help you, unless you really know how to have a relationship with the text. You could really make something out of it. But that doesn't happen. In yeshiva, you don't get the opportunity to learn how to have a relationship with the text, to understand who's writing what. What's the difference between Chazal and Rishonim and Achronim and other sources, like Rabbi Yehuda Chassid. The Chafetz Chaim had to challenge Rabbi Yehuda Chassid's book of nonsense that he wrote, that was a tzava, by saying, I wish they would print the Shulchan Aruch in the book of Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, so people should keep the Shulchan Aruch like they keep Rabbi Yehuda Chassid. But let me explain to you from a psychological and scientific point of view why people were so attracted to Rabbi Yehuda Chassid's book, is because people like absolute nonsense. They like absolute bullshit because it doesn't have meaning. It's mystical. He says if you forget something in your house and you're on the way out, don't go back and get it. He told one of his, they say it's a tzavah for his family, some people think it's for everyone, nurse the baby with the left breast, not with the right breast. He's an asshole, by the way. And in other crazy stuff, don't marry a girl. A girl shouldn't marry a boy, and a boy should marry with the name of her father, or the girl the name of his mother, or something like that. This could have been superstitions that he made up himself, or it came from the culture and the civilization that he grew up in, the people around him, and he bought into it. Or it could have been, the best opinion is that it was a mix of both. He probably had a very superstitious surrounding, and then he also added in his own garbage, and he wrote a book, and it's considered a holy book. Now the poskim have to deal with that book by not saying it's absolutely bullshit, but to say, no, he only wrote it for his family. And what? So his family's got to suffer? That's not a solution to the problem. You have to explain the guy who wrote the book. You have to go into his psyche, read the book, get a doctor to form an opinion what mental condition this man suffered from. So thank you for watching. That's enough for now. We're going Mishachist the whole week now. Like literally Mishachist, like all the way, man. This is special Mishachist Rosh Hashanah we're having. And then I hope to see you guys Tishrei in Crown Heights.